Hello everyone, this is your Cisco trainer and I welcome you to part 5 of lecture number 6 from the course CCNA 200-301. It is a 100% completely free course to pass the CCNA exam 200-301. And if you like the video, leave a comment and share to help spread this free series of videos. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, stay tuned please by just clicking on subscribe button, thumbs up, hit the bell icons, and do not miss the upcoming alerts and notifications. In today's lecture, I'm gonna talk about what is subnetting, how to draw a subnetting cheat sheets, how to use subnetting cheat sheets, an answer to the 7 attributes of subnetting, and some practice session as well. Before we jump and start the lectures, Happy New Year. Now let's jump and start. What does exactly mean subnetting? Taking a network and dividing it into a subnetworks, or the process of dividing a network into a multiple subnetwork is called subnetting. In this scenario, I have a 192.168.0.x. It is a one network. Now I am dividing into multiple networks. So in this case, I divided up to 10 subnetworks. This is called subnetting. For example, in here and I have an IP address 192.168.0.x. X means dividing portion. So in this IP, we located at the 4th octet. Now let's check. So in /24, from 0 through to 55 IP address are referred to as a /24. /24 means a CIDR. Don't worry about what does mean CIDR. In the next slides, we have a full explanation about a CIDR. We can divide now 1/24 into 2 subnetworks. The first /25 has IP address from 0 through to 127. And second /25 IP address is from 128 through to 255. We can further divide it into subnetworks. So we can divide it into 8 groups or 8 subnetworks and so on. When we done the process of subnetting, so we extract the 7 attributes of a subnetting. Now it is our job to answer all these 7 attributes. What is number IP address? A total IP address, a number of IP address in each subnetworks. So here in a first network, we have a 64 IP address. And the second network, we have a 32 IP address. And the third network, we have a 16 IP address. And the fourth network, we have a 4 IP address. What is CIDR or subnet mask? So here, /26, /20, 7/28/30. These are called CIDR. CIDR means classless inter-domain routing. Subnets, so these two parts refer to as in order to identify what is the size of subnet is. Converting between CIDR and subnet mask. If we talk about the CIDR, in the first network, the CIDR is /26 and the subnet is 255.255.255.192. In the second network, /27 is a CIDR and 255.255.255.224 as a subnet. And the third network, /28 is a CIDR and the subnet mask is 255.255.255.240. And the third network, /30 is a CIDR and 255.255.255.252 is a subnet mask. What is network ID? First IP address in each subnet network is called a network ID. And the first network is 192.168.0.0 and the second network 192.168.0.64 and the third network is 192.168.0.96 and the fourth network is 192.168.0.112. These are called network ID. Broadcast IP. What is broadcast IP? Last IP address in each subnetwork is called the broadcast IP. So in the first network, the broadcast ID is 192.168.0.63. And the second network is 192.168.0.95. And the third network is 192.168.0.111. And the fourth network is 192.168.0.115. We cannot use a broadcast IP address and network ID. These two IP is not allowed for a network engineer to assign on computers. So in each network, we have a total numbers. All total number must minus 2 from it. So one is for a network ID and the second is for a broadcast IP address. In the first network, we have a total IP address of 64, but we are allowed only to use 62 of them. In the second network, we are only allowed to use 30 of them out of 32. In the third network, we only use 40 of them, and the fourth network only use 2 of them. What is first IP address? IP address after the network ID is called the first usable IP address in each subnetworks. How we identify the IP address or usable address? We just add one to the network ID is called a network ID. So the first network is 192.168.0.1, and the second network 192.168.0.65, and the third network is 192.168.0.97, and the fourth network is 192.168.0.113. These are called the first IP address. Last IP address or last usable IP address before the broadcast IP address or 2 less than a next network is called a broadcast IP address. 192.168.0.62, and the second network 192.168.0.94, and the third network is 192.168.0.110, and so on. And the fourth network is 192.168.0.114. These are called last usable IP address in each subnetworks. Next network ID of the next subnet or the next subnetworks. In the first network, 192.168.0.64 is a next network ID, and the second network is 192.168.0.96, and the third network is 192.168.0.112, and the fourth network is 192.168.0.116. These are called the process of dividing a subnets. So now let's jump and answer to some question of subnetting and how to use or how to draw a cheat sheet. Start with 1 and double it until you reach to 128. The rule is from right to left. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Now subtract top row from 256. 256 minus 1 is 255. 256 minus 2 is 254. 256 minus 4 is 252, and so on. From /32 lays cider notation. Again, the rule is from right to left. /32, /31, /30, /29, /28, /27, /26, and /25. In this cheat sheet, we focus on 3 rows. The first row is a group size, the second row is a subnet mask, and the third row is a cider. Now let's jump. I have given an IP address. Now answer to these questions. First, you have to have a cheat sheet, and second, you have to know about the 7 attributes of a subnetting. So this IP address 192.168.0.58/28. Now how to recognize and how to check the cheat sheets, how to find in which row of the cheat sheets we are in, using given cider mask to find column on cheat sheets. So here we are locating in a 4 column of the cheat sheets. Cider /subnet mask map to each other. So in here the subnet mask is 255, 255, 255, 240. We are locating at the 4th octet of a cheat sheets. /28 is mapped with 240 and the group size is 16. Now how to find the network address? Just start with 0 in a relevant octet until you pass the target IP. 0, 16, double it, 32, 48, and 64. Now in here we find that the target IP is located between 48 and 64. Number before the target IP is a network ID 192.168.0.48. Next network IP address after the broadcast IP. Number after the target IP is the next network. 192.168.0.64 is a broadcast IP address. So the target IP address located in between 48 and 64. Now let's find network ID. First IP address in each network is called a network ID. 192.168.0.48 is a network ID. What is next network IP address after the broadcast IP address? 192.168.0.64. What is broadcast IP address? Last IP address in each network is called a broadcast IP address. So how we identify or how we know it, the broadcast IP address? Just -1 from the next network. It will give you a broadcast IP address. First IP address after the network ID is the first usable IP address. We just add 1 to the network ID. So 192.168.0.49 is a first usable address. What about last usable IP address? We just minus from broadcast IP address. So it will give us 192.168.0.62. It is a last usable address. We can use different ways as well. If you want to identify last usable IP address, just -2 from the next network or just -1 from broadcast IP address. Number of IP address in each network. So in this network, we have a 16 number. A total number of IP addresses is 16, but do not forget to subtract, if needed, 2 from total number. So in this case, we use only 14 IP address out of 16 IP addresses. So this is the process of how we draw a cheat sheets. Now let us use the subnetting cheat sheets and answer to the question of any IP addresses or some other questions. In this question, I have given a number or an IP address 192.168.0.28/29. Again, we use cheat sheets. Cheat sheet is really play a key role for an engineers in order to find a subnet mask or a network ID or a next network ID or first usable IP address, last usable IP address. So if you want to be master in a subnetting, you have to have memorized or you have to have these subnet cheat in your mind. Again, we look over the cheat sheets. So /28 using given CIDR mask to find column on each cheat on a cheat sheets. So in here we locate on a 5th column of the cheat sheets. So the subnet mask or the CIDR will be 255, 255, 255, 248. Why 248? Because /29 is mapped with 248 in a group size of A. So if we find the network address or the target IP, we start at 0 and 11 octet, but increase by a group size until you pass the target IP. .0, .8, .16, .24, .32. So in here, we reach at the target IP. The target IP address is located in between 24 and 32. So how we define a network ID? First IP address in each network ID is called a network ID. Next network IP address after the broadcast IP address 192.168.0.32 is called a broadcast. This is called a network ID. Broadcast IP, last IP address in each network. Or the easiest way, just -1 from the next network. It will provide you a broadcast IP address. The broadcast IP address will look like 192.168.0.31. First usable address, just add 1 to the network ID. It is a first usable address. Or if you want to a last usable address, just -2 from the next network or -1 from the broadcast IP address. It will give you a last usable address. So in here, the 192.168.0.30 is a broadcast IP. 192.168.0.30 is a last usable address. A number of IP address, a total number of IP in a network is a called total number of IP address. But in each network, do not to forget, you have to have -2 of them. So in here, we only use 6 out of 8 IP address in the networks. What is subnetting? Drawing the subnetting cheat sheets. Using the subnetting cheat sheets, the 7 attributes of subnetting practice sessions. Thank you for watching. That is all for this video. If you want to show your support, please subscribe the channel, like the video, leave a comment and share the video with anyone else studying for the CCNA.